There he is. Oh yeah. Here we go, baby.
Hey guys, Tyler Berg here with Bass Fishing HQ. Today we're going to talk about 3 tricks that you can do to catch more bass on chatterbaits. Guys, before we get into the tricks, please go check out columbusbarrelco.com. Use the coupon code BASS25 to get 25% off any orders there. I'm telling you, if you just go there, you're going to find something you really, really like, including awesome hats. So go to Columbus Barrel Co, BASS25, get 25% off. One thing about a chatterbait that people actually don't like is that it tends to get hung when you're fishing it around wood. It gets hung more than, say, for instance, a spinnerbait. But if you do this one little modification, it's gonna help you fish that bait through wood a lot more effectively. And I'm talking a lot more effectively.
So the reason that a lot of times you get hung up when you're fishing a chatterbait around wood is a lot of people tend to use a chatterbait with a trailer on it that's kind of shad shaped, right? It's kind of longer vertically. It's very flat. And what happens is when that chatterbait is coming over a limb, it tends to, see how it rolls? It tends to roll, and when it does that, it gets hung up. See how it's hung in my finger now, which, ouch, that kind of hurts. But that's why a chatterbait gets hung a lot in the wood, because people use trailers that are kind of slender and they're long, and it allows that bait, it actually forces that bait to turn on its side, just like this. And when it does that, it hooks into the limb. That really can lead to a lot of frustrating fishing, a lot of times getting hung up. But really, the biggest thing that you want to do is simply take that trailer off, and this is probably the best trailer that I have found, which is a Strike King structure bug. This is a rage tail structure bug, and if you actually take this bait, it's a lot more flat, right? It's a flatter bait, it's more beaver style. So what I like to do is I take this bait and I'll actually bite off the top of it. Ugh. I'll bite off the top of it about that much, and then what I'll do is right where these little wings are on this structure bug, I'll actually take a pair of scissors and I'll just cut kind of a diamond right where those wings are. So see what I've done there is I've made like this little tiny bug, and now I just take off these 2 arms. Make sure you pull apart the bottom, and now that is going to be your trailer. And the important thing here is you want to rig it so that the flat part is vertical, or is horizontal. Okay, so now when you put it on, make sure you put it on as straight as possible. That's the truth with any trailer that you fish. Put it on as straight as possible. Feed it on up. Obviously, I'm not using glue for the example. A lot of times I will use glue. Now what you have is a trailer that actually kind of allows that bait to, now when it goes over a piece of cover or structure, it actually just comes right on over. See how, because this is flat, because this trailer is flat, it doesn't roll. It really can't roll, because of the way the trailer is shaped. Because of that, it's going to come through brush a lot better. It's not going to roll, and that is going to help you catch more bass in wood on a chatterbait. Hopefully you'll be able to see this, but this is kind of a perfect example of what I'm talking about. When you use a chatterbait, a lot of times if you're using it around wood, you're going to be fishing kind of this lay down logs and stuff like this. Limbs that are laying and logs that are laying horizontally, those are the ones where that bait wants to roll when you're using that other type of trailer. But with that structure bug, you can cast right over top of that bait. I'm letting it sink so that you can see it hit, and it's actually going to hit and just roll on over. Just rolled over one, I felt it hit it, just rolled over the other one, just like that. Let me do it a little bit shallower so you can see. I'm just going to roll it right over. See that right there? It rolled right over top. It didn't get hung. That is the advantage to putting that structure bug in. And it doesn't have to be this trailer. Any type of a trailer that's kind of flat horizontally is going to allow that bait to not roll, and that's what you want. And I'm not saying you're never gonna get hung doing it, but it's a lot more effective. I mean, no bait is 100% weedless. You could throw the most weedless jig or Texas rig in the wood, and every now and then it's gonna get hung. But fishing it with that trailer, you're gonna get hung a lot less, and you're gonna feel confident to throw it over wood and around wood where a lot of people aren't throwing it. That's gonna help you to catch more bass than other people.
Now, one of the biggest things that's gonna help you catch more bass on a chatterbait is varying your retrieve when you're bringing the bait in. A lot of people are gonna go out there, they're gonna cast it, they're gonna reel it just straight in. And yes, you will catch some bass doing that, but if you let that bait fall from time to time, maybe bring it over a limb or off a piece of grass and then let it fall, or if you kind of twitch it from time to time when you're bringing it back, that's going to basically force that bass to bite it out of reaction, and that is going to help you catch more bass than just a straight retrieve. So make sure you're popping that rod from time to time, letting the bait fall, yo-yoing it, doing different things with that bait that's gonna force that bass to react to it.
So as you can see, as I make a cast out, as I'm bringing it in, I'm kind of pulling the bait with my rod tip a little. I'm bearing the retrieve. I'm making that bait go up and down, and every now and then I'll kill it and let it drop. Doing that is really, really going to help you catch a lot more bass on a chatterbait than just the standard cast it out and reel it in. So always vary your retrieve, no matter what you're fishing. Even if you're fishing around wood, if you're fishing around grass, if you're fishing around docks, make that bait do things a little bit differently, and you're going to catch a lot more bass on a chatterbait.
The third tip when fishing a chatterbait that's really important, and this is true for any lure, and it's kind of cliche, but keep your chatterbait in the strike zone for as long of a cast as possible. You know, a lot of people, when they're fishing a chatterbait in shallow water, they're casting that bait right into where they think that bass is and then bringing it out. And a lot of times 75, 80, 90% of their cast is not effective because it's not in the strike zone. So what that means a lot of times is instead of casting to the bank, you want to get right up on the bank and parallel the bank so that that bait is in the strike zone for as long as possible. That's going to help you catch more bass on a chatterbait, because instead of your cast being only in the strike zone for maybe 10 to 20% of the time, it's now in the strike zone for the entire cast, and that is going to help you catch a lot more bass.
So as you can see here, I'm fishing kind of a channel swing bank that has some overhanging trees and kind of a overhanging cut bank. Instead of casting from a distance to this bank where really only the first crank or two is in the strike zone, I'm actually going to get right up on top of the bank. I mean, I'm going to get snug right to the bank here, and I'm going to cast parallel. I'm going to cast parallel to the bank and then bring my retrieve. Now this entire cast here, I could actually get bit, not just the first crank or two. That's really, really important, not only with chatterbaits, but with a number of different lures and techniques. You want to try to keep that lure in the strike zone for as much as possible. The good thing is if you're a bank fisherman, you kind of naturally are going to be closer to the bank. That's going to allow you to parallel even better. Don't cast out in the middle of the lake. Cast parallel to the shoreline and work it right there parallel. Man. Whew. So guys, use these tips, catch a good sized bass.